So this one, I'm just going to show a quick preview of, I bought a lot of new books. I've always got a big stack of, I don't know if you do this, but you have like, keep buying books or acquiring books, and they go in a big stack to get through and read, and then, you know, someone else recommends another and you think, fucking hell, you go and buy that. And it just, so you've got to be careful because your stack gets absolutely massive. And mine is already big. And I just bought a load recently because they were cheap as chips. They were like £1 each on this site. And I just thought, oh, I won't mind that, won't mind that. So I bought quite a few, and so I'll talk through some of them. I've also got some of the existing books that I've already got. So you might have seen this one, which is about crystals. This was about £2. The reason why I bought this, because I've done a few videos on crystals recently, particularly the citrine, you know. Carry this little block of citrine in my pocket, and it's for manifesting abundance, and it fits with the journaling, you know, the kind of goal achievement stuff. So the reason why I bought this is I'm going to start dealing in those crystals and providing them with the journal as a placebo for manifesting abundance and hitting your goals. So that's a good book. I've got a few on karma, cheap books on karma, something that I'm kind of fascinated. Got this one, Happiness in Your Life, book 1 of 12. This one here, Karma, Cause and Effect. So karma's just cause and effect. And then this one, I just read this morning. The little, what does it say? The little book to help you clear your karma. Sounds quite interesting. So I'm going to have a bit of a chat about that in a second. Just run through a few more of these books. Hang on. What's this one? The Creating Game, How Fast Can You Change Your Life? It sounds quite interesting, very relevant to the goal achievement stuff and making big changes, so I got that. Secrets of Rejuvenation. It's got a price on there, look at that, £1.99. The Mental Game of Writing, How to Overcome Obstacles, Stay Creative and Productive, and Free Your Mind for Success. So this is like, you know, I'm trying to turn myself into a writer, basically. So just reading a book on that. I've done this on audio book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, Robert Glover. I did it years ago in audio book. I haven't got the physical copy. Only bought it because it was like so cheap from this site. So I just thought, yeah, sod it. I'll always go back and read the physical. Here's another one, right? Stephen Covey, very famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I've done this on audiobook and also, hello, how are you doing? So I've done this on audiobook, and I've also done a digital ebook, e-reader. Never actually had the physical book, so again, I wanted the physical book because this one's important. I want to like write my notes in, and I've been involved in some talking shops, like book club type things, where we've been through this, every habit. You know what I mean? Really good. Mine's my favourite's like Start with the End in Mind. You know, it's such a good, great. I think it's Habit 2. Here's a good one. A Guide to Tolkien. So, yeah, I remember reading it. First one I read was The Hobbit when I was a kid. Really enjoyed that. So, yeah. I'll get to the actually comment where I'm from. Manchester, UK, North Manchester. Where are you from? Yes, I've got this one and another Schwarzenegger one. £2 this. If you go on Amazon, it's about 12-15 quid. £2. Oh, from London. All right, yeah, nice to meet you. So on Amazon, look at that for a steal. I've been reading this one. Total Recall. This is his biography. I should have got so I've got his very first biography is called Fantastic. It's like, I think it was written in the 90s or something like this. I've got that in the other room. I should have got that too. So I read Fantastic. I've been reading Total Recall, which is really good because the start of it is pretty good. It's all about his childhood, you know, and how he went from him and his brother, Reinhardt, I think his brother was called, and how they went from, you know, in Austria and dad policeman and all the rest of it. And they went from that to him coming into the gym and things. And his time in the army, you know, he was a tank driver. He kept crashing the flipping tanks, and he was doing really well with training in the army. And eventually, the army granted him leave to go and do this kind of go and train professionally. But yeah, 'cause they were also fed up with him because he kept crashing the tanks. Like there was a story where he crashed it into some farmhouse or something that they were on an exercise, and it trashed all the wall down, and they had to like send all the army engineers in to rebuild this house or whatever. So, I think it was like a garage part of this farm, and he got absolutely roasted for it. So yeah, so I just bought Be Useful, 7 Tools for Life, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It sounds a bit like Jordan Peterson, doesn't it? 12 Rules for Life. But maybe it's a cross between that and Tim Ferriss' Tools of Titans. So, yeah, new books I've got. A couple of existing... Oh, here's another one. Look at this. Looks very sterile, this. Michael Porter, Competitive Advantage, a business book. Pretty thick. This is only if you want to read it. Obviously, I've got my tech business, and I'm also going into e-commerce. And what made me read this was after reading Traction, which is the entrepreneurial operating system. So I'm just implementing this in both my businesses. My tech business is already ISO 9001 accredited, which is quality management system. So we use that. This is more like a streamlined version. It's got some great tools in there. So I'm implementing part of that, like particularly the business scorecard. Phenomenal. So quick tip, we did the business scorecard this week with my cousin on the e-commerce business, and we're tracking very granular metrics over the weeks that predict what's going to happen in future months. And we pulled that together, created a private GPT, and sort of fed the data into GPT, asked it a bunch of questions, and some of the insights were really good. And that just came from us collecting granular data. So yeah, great. So yeah, after reading EOS Traction, I ended up going for this one. Not looking for, well, I kind of am because I'm a bit of a business nerd, but Michael Porter, Competitive Advantage. This is about time-tested things that work in business. It's almost like one of those books that people just avoid reading because they want to look for the latest trend. It's a bit like, I've not got it here, but I did it on another video. David Ogilvy on advertising. He talks about the principles that have always worked in advertising. People go for the current trends, like whatever's happening in social media. This is like that for business, you know, a lot of current business trends. There are shitloads. If you scroll in social media, the amount of adverts that come up for, are you tired of earning money, and do you want to earn passive income and all this nonsense? They're all fucking Ponzi schemes, right? There's nothing like learning how to do business properly. By the way, I still need to do, I did the video on how, my journey with my tech business, and I've just done a podcast on it as well. Quite vulnerable, that one. Tech business is like 12 years old now, software business, quite stable and established. Having that has allowed me the flexibility to start the e-commerce business. If I didn't have my tech business to leverage from, that starting that e-commerce business would have been fucking really hard, a non-starter. So once you get some success, you leverage it to get more success. And that is all about the principles of good business. So I'm learning more and more. Books like these, Traction, Gino Whitman, EOS, and Entrepreneurial Operating System, Michael Porter, Competitive Advantage. Obviously, I've not read this yet. It's a new book, but these are about business principles, not fucking new age fads on whatever the latest passive income trend is. It's all bollocks, that. So right, anyway, today I've just read this one this morning, right? It's tiny, look. Right, I think 25 pages. It's almost like an essay. The little book to help you clear karma. I like karma, cause and effect, because karma really, you could see it as very, very connected to the stuff that we have in the journal. Like, you know, you create an identity, and the way you change your life is through the good rituals, routines, and habits. What you're actually doing there, good habits, is you're laying good karma. So when I talk about karma, I always use something like, you know, I always use like a fitness example because it's just everyone can get on board with it. So a good explanation of karma would be if you eat junk food, drink loads of alcohol, the karma, you're placing bad karma on your body there, and you'll eventually just put on weight and get health problems. On the flip side, you can balance out that bad karma. Karma, it's like a scale. They call it the scales of justice, where if you do bad things, you add to one side, and then the way you can't get rid of it, right? The way you cancel it out is adding more good deeds on the other side. So if you've been eating shit all your life and just, you know, not looking after your health and drinking too much, that's done. It's in the past. You've done it. You know what I mean? You may be suffering from some health problems. They may be reversible. They might not be. They might, you know, you might have done some permanent damage. Who knows? How do you get around it? Start placing good habits on that. This is why in the journal, you know, if you want a new identity, you create that identity for yourself, and then you've got to live in accordance with it day by day by doing good karma, good deeds. So let's have a little look at this book because there is so much in it, right? So I'm just going to flick to, I've underlined a few bits, right? The first thing, right? Karma, you've got like addition and subtraction, of course, right? In terms of good and bad deeds, right? And you've got like, there's this thing here called the mathematics of karma on the scale. So if you imagine the scale, right, and there are two, there's a major scale of justice, which is your overall karma. And then you get minor scales of justice. And minor scales of justice are the categories, right? So to explain that, I'm just going to use this is how it feeds in now to the journal. So if you think your major scale of justice, which is, that would be your overall identity, right? And then your minor scales of justice are the categories. So in here, we've got the personal categories of personal development. So things like your physical health, you know, your mindset, your spirituality, your relationships, your financial situation, your occupation and your lifestyle. All of them can have minor scales of justice, right? So you can, in each of those sort of categories, I mean, you can create your own categories. These are just the categories that I use for life, 7 areas of life. But in each one of them areas, you can build, you can create a minor scale of justice, and you can either decide to do good things or bad things in that area, and that will result in karma. Now, all of those areas, if you imagine all those areas of your life, can start to affect other areas as well. So like a good one, the way to explain this is, I always think that, you know, in the areas on the life harmony model, if you're in the gutter, the two most important to work on, the first place is your health and fitness, right? One, because another important area is mindset, but health and fitness and mindset are so interconnected. So if you think one area in the karma sense, the minor scale of justice in terms of health and fitness, if your health isn't on point and your diet's poor, let's say, you know, it's like putting bad fuel into a car. It's not going to perform well. And if your diet's poor and you've got brain fog and you know, you're putting on weight, you just feel lethargic and low energy and your health's not there, chances are that's going to affect your mindset. You're not going to be able to think clearly. And this is why I think, you know, just having like a really good whole foods diet, you think clearer, right? So in terms of karma then, that minor scale of justice on your health and fitness starts to impact your mindset, and then your mindset starts to impact how you perform in terms of your daily life, your work life, things like that. So it's very important, right? Now the mathematics of karma, this is quite good. In here it reckons that, like, you know, it might give an arbitrary number. Let's say there's For each minor scale of justice, you're allowed to do 10 small bad things before you get real karma. So let's say let's say you can make 10 little slip-ups in your life, right, in an area, right, and that might be in your primary relationship. Say you can make 10 small fuck-ups before. It's like cats have 9 lives, right? So in the karma sense, now I don't know if it is 10, but just for an arbitrary number, let's say you've got 10 chances before you get really bad karma in that area of life. You can balance that out by adding 10 good things, right? I don't know if it's an equal balance, but that's one idea, right? And then there's this section here, it's called karma crystallization. I love this, right? Karmic crystallization is the act of your previous and or current actions becoming solid, crystallized. Karma that one will pay off or receive as a reward, right? So it's like solid crystallized karma that one will pay off or receive as a reward. So you can get crystallized karma in either direction, good or bad. The crystallization of karma is what we want to pay attention to at all costs, because at this point, you will be creating a particular outcome. This is where you start. It's a bit like taking risks and dicing with death with things like alcohol or drugs or something like this. Eventually, you'll get a really bad outcome. You'll get a few chances, but if you keep going, you'll get a really bad outcome, and that can be anything. Like it also goes the same for like being evil with people. Eventually, this is the idea. So karmic crystallization. Now, there's something called karmic molding, right? This is really important. I found this super interesting. Karmic molding is the act of previous or current actions forming into crystallized karma. So when it gets crystallized, that karma, the act of doing it, through these little actions is karmic molding. You're actually creating it, right? This period is usually the marginal period between two extremes that we must pay close attention to. Right, listen to this. Usually our conscious or intuition helps us navigate issues and resolves them. However, if we constantly disregard what our conscious and intuition tells us, we have to pay the karmic debt for what we ignore, or it is an indication that rewards are coming. So there's two sides to that in terms of paying karmic debt, right? Personally, this really resonated with me because this reminded me of a good few years ago now when I got into some serious trouble in my software business. My intuition was telling me it was coming. I could see the signs, and I'm not saying I was ignoring it. I've got a really good risk tolerance, so I will always sail right close to the fringes of acceptance, right? And I will just push my luck. And I knew, this was a few years ago, I knew I was pushing my luck. I could feel it, and I kept saying, just a bit longer, get a bit longer. I was trying to make sales, and it wasn't happening. The money was running out. Everything was going fucking wrong. So this is what I mean. My intuition was telling me then, and my consciousness, because there was obvious signs, right? And this is why, earlier when I said I started collecting the business scorecard, because at that point in my business, I was not really measuring any proper kind of metrics. I was just sort of like, we're just going off what was in my head. If I was really paying attention to things like sales in, expenses out, bank balances, things like this, I would have been able to spot it. That would have been conscious recognition. But my intuition was telling me at the time. And it ended up really fucking bad for me, right? I ended up getting some seriously bad karma dished out at that point, right? Got in some serious debt. My primary relationship went to shit. I had to fire everyone. I was in the gutter. I felt like shit. My mental health, everything. So I got some serious karma, even though my intuition was telling me. So when I read that, right? Now, the next bit of this, where it says here, we'll have to either pay the karmic debt for what we ignore, which is bad things, or it's an indication that rewards are coming, right? So here's a good one. I did a video, I think I did a live maybe a month or two ago talking about when do you know when results are coming, right? And it's kind of hard to tell. Another reason why I'm starting to track business scorecards is because, and you can do this on everything. This is why I like journaling too, because every day when you journal, you're documenting in real time, and you start to see little changes. So how do you know rewards are coming? Intuition, yes. I don't know if you've ever, when you're like really working hard at something for like weeks and weeks, if not months, and you're thinking, fucking hell, how long is this going to take? Because I've done lots of videos on this, everything takes longer than you expect, especially if you're trying to make a massive change or start a new business or do something massive or like lose 25 kilos. You're not going to do it in a week. How do you know, right? Usually, that's why in the journal, after the first week, you do a week review. How do you feel? After about 3 months of a change, this is where you check to see if if you've established good habits in alignment with that goal, right? You should be able to tell after 3 months that you've got well ingrained good habits, and that is where you're laying that good karma. After 6 months, this is where you should start to see some real results. You should be able to measure. If you're writing down every day, this is why I use a business scorecard in the journal, because I'm collecting things that happen as they happen, in real time. That's how you know. Right, next bit. Still on the, apologies, on the karmic moulding, right? There's a paragraph here, this is quite good. Intuition and guilt brought by the conscious allude to areas where moulding of karma is taking place. I would suggest that you pay attention to these signs, warnings, and resolve them as soon as possible. If not, your karma becomes crystallized and permanent. Thus, you must pay off karmic debt or receive rewards. Yeah, the above information is the utmost importance. Please do not take this lightly, right? Then there's a karmic numerical measure, which we're talking about, right? Karmic modeling is based on karmic numerical measure. Simply put, karmic numerical measure is how many times someone can do a negative or positive deed before it becomes crystallized, right? There's lots of different factors here, like the age or place where someone lives, karmic numerical measures that were appointed by the divine. I'm not sure about that one. Former karmic modeling that was unresolved before their previous death. I'm not sure about that one. I've talked about this before, whether, karma, the idea it passes through previous lives. But it does give an example of like somewhere where karma can roll over between one life and the next. So let's say you did 8 bad deeds in one life, and it rolls over to the next. You've only got 2 chances, and this is why someone, or like, this is why you get a scenario where the first time someone ever made a mistake, they get absolutely smashed for it. You think, fucking hell, some people usually get away with it a few times. Well, that might be because of the previous life. Anyway, this is interesting. Karmic neutralizing. Karma can be neutralized with the imagination. This concept may seem abstract, but it is not. It is a lost art with magical teachings. We negate some or all of our outcomes by consciously overriding our karma with a feeling and mind state where it does not exist. This phenomenon is also behind why people's ability to overcome challenging circumstances, right? For example, someone who is disabled, they may still find romantic love due to their speaking skills. This person may have had low self-esteem previously because of their ailment until they used their will to acquire the gift of the gap, right? So, you know what I mean? They're using their imagination and mindset to overcome that. Great example. We've got another bit that I've highlighted here. Karmic neutralizing may slow down the process of paying off your karma. Right, here's a good one, yeah. Karmic neutralizing may slow down the process of paying off your karma, but you'll have to face your karma if you are if you reincarnate or stop using neutralization. Also, neutralized karma can double or triple. Right, so karmic neutralization, this the idea is that you can use positive mindset, positive self-talk to overcome bad karma or challenges, right? And that is very true. You can almost, it's called priming or affirmations or whatever, right? You can use positive self-talk to prime yourself to get a better outcome. However, in the karma sense, if you've got bad karma and you're trying to neutralize it with positive thoughts, reframing what happened, all that kind of thing, all you're doing is masking it. You're not actually resolving it, paying the debt. So you can carry on neutralizing that karma for as long as you want, all the way to death. But then it will get carried into your next life, right? And in the meantime, if you just keep neutralizing it just for the sake of it, just ignoring it and, positive mindset over the top, it can end up doubling behind the scenes as well, right? So this point here, couple karmic neutralization and paying off the neutralized debt simultaneously. So one helps the other. So in other words, you can mask it while it's giving you pain with the karmic neutralization, positive self-talk, but then start paying good karma on the opposite side of that scale of justice. So if you've got bad karma, start feeding in some good karma actions and use positive mindset to overcome pain and add good deeds to pay off the debt. Right. What's this one? Acquired karma, right? So I'm just going to skip to a bit here. Acquired karma. This is karma that's been acquired. It might have been from a previous life or whatever. Whenever your conscious bothers you about an issue, it's generally rooted in karma that hasn't been crystallized. Therefore, you still have time to fix the issue, and it's in your best interest to do so. I think we've covered that. Embracing karmic debt isn't easy, but we must embrace it before we're able to heal our karma. Another one. Right. Acquired karma type 2. This type of karma gets created when an individual lessens the burden of another person's karma. So this is about helping someone else, right? I think this is a really important one. I want to talk about this. It's not wise to handicap an individual by doing their karmic work for them. That's, we all want to help people, right? We risk having the person we've helping gain we risk having the person we're helping gain deeper karma because they never learn the lessons that are meant for them, right? Therefore, they continue to do the same deeds that worsen their circumstances. That sounds quite obvious. In a worst case scenario, if you don't eradicate someone else's karma when you help them, you run the risk of gaining some or all of their karma. So this is like, when you help someone, we all want to help people, right? But I'm trying to think of it. Right, I've got a good example here, right? When my brother was younger, he was a fucking nightmare, right? On doing things like not paying for train tickets, tram tickets, just jumping on and off. And he'd get caught, right? And you get a small fine and you just pay it, right? And it's a small amount. Now, he used to ignore it to the point where people were, like, debt collectors were coming. And then, what was like £10 went to £30. And the next minute it's £300. Then it's going to court and it's several hundred. You get the idea, right? And he'd do that a few times. And he couldn't afford to pay it off. So he'd end up getting bailed out. Now, that is someone helping him deal with his karma, whether it was me, my dad, someone had paid off for him. But he never learnt the fucking lesson because he kept doing it. And then people kept bailing him out. So that is a very, very good explanation of acquired karma type 2. So when you try to help someone else pay off their karma by helping them, they don't learn the lesson. You know what I mean? It's like we really want to help people. It's like you could say that this is similar to giving money to someone that is in dire need. But the reason why they're in dire need is because they've got a drug addiction, or they've got an alcohol addiction, or whatever, right? They've got some, or a gambling addiction, right? Let's say that person has a family, kids, and they keep gambling the money. And you feel so sorry for the children that you have to keep giving them money. This is a really tough one, and I spoke about this with Roberto, right? Because I had this same scenario where somebody needed some help. I knew I felt really bad. And I made the decision to give them money, knowing that I'd never get it back. But if you carry on giving that person money when they've got that addiction, right, they're only deepening their own karma because they're not learning the lesson. We all want to help people, right? But I think you have to help. But it says here now, helping eradicate someone else's karma if you're not supposed to is equivalent to helping someone cheat on a test. I think that's a good explanation. Here's another one, collaborated karma. Collaborated karma is also responsible for families or groups that live in wealth and affluence together. This one's quite important to me. This is where, like, you only get a really successful family and they're all aligned. And they don't just build the wealth. Maybe the wealth was built initially, but the rest of the family retain that wealth through the generations because they created collaborative karma there. Collaborated karma, where they're all working together. Collaborated karma can also be like business partners and things like this, or, you know, good friendships, good relationships even, where both people are collaborating on that, maybe, right? Karmic mapping. You can create a karma map. So this is like listing your problems, you know, like it's like a tree. Create a karma map, then create a branch of each issue. Create a karma map of all your issues. Create a branch from each issue and list every situation underneath that can come from it, like a little tree. And then you create like a positive karma map. Where's that positive karma map? Oh, I don't know. But anyway, you then create a good karma map, right, of all the positive outcomes that can happen and start working on that. And then you weight them as well, like, you know, like if it's the minor scale of justice, like I said, you know, the categories, you might have your major scale at the top, go into your minor scale, all your areas, and then all your little problems and a little route down, you know, like a branch for each one. And then put a weight on it, how many times you think you've done it, how many times you think you've got left. So if you're going to use 10, you might say, right, this area, I've got some bit of bad karma here. I've done it 5 times. That means I've got 5 left or whatever. And then you go to your positive karma map in the same category and you've only done good deeds 3 times. You're like, oh, well, it's obvious, right? I've done 5 bad to 3 good. I need to do some more over there. So you can do that. And that's it, really. It's nearly finished. Hang on, there's a concluding page here. This is the only thing that I wrote down here. So, he's talking about, in closing, right, before I leave, I wanted to remind you that life is in your hands to a great extent. As of right now, your life is a sum and result of a number of an unnumbered amount of decisions, thoughts, feelings, and actions that you have previously made through many lifetimes. So we are, you know, it's like, you know, we don't decide our futures, we decide our habits, and our habits decide our futures. So where we all are right now is a result of past actions, right? Therefore, you have no control over the past per se, but you do have an opportunity to change your soul's trajectory from this point on. So ask yourself, what will you do with this power through the wisdom of karma. Just know that what you do next with this power can stop the cycle of reincarnation, make your next life cycle easier and filled with rewards, or create hell on earth. The choice is yours, my dear magicians. Anyway, a little book on karma. There it is. Great stuff. Don't know what you think about that. I love thinking about karma because it's like just a normal thing. You can really see it in a simple sense. Like I say, in the health sense, you know, if you eat shit, you're going to look like shit, feel like shit. So eating good is adding good karma. And that's why I think, you know, it's like in here, you know, the identity evolution cycle. Building good habits creates a new identity, reinforces that new identity, builds good karma. One final book. So another book that came. So I've got Scott's book, Order Out of Chaos. So Scott was my business coach. This is about negotiation, things like advanced negotiation, like active listening techniques. Scott was a hostage for ransom negotiator. So great for like general life communication, become a world-class communicator. Great book, talked about that before. And what came recently, I pre-ordered this, Eye of the Storm. This is his new book. So I'm going to be reading this next. I don't know anything about it yet, just pre-ordered it. A few months ago it turned up, so yeah, I'm presuming it's a follow-on from Order Out of Chaos, so keep you updated on that. Right, nice little video, hope you enjoyed. I'm just touching my microphone. Go and do some reading. How are you doing, everyone? To see if there's any comments. Who is the author? Which book? Oh, this one, the Karma book. It's on the bottom there. It's Siku Striggles. Hang on. There you go. You'll have to mirror it because on the live, on the phone, it mirrors the front screen, mirrors the phone, mirrors the image. So you'll have to mirror it. Where did you get the Star? Ah, right. The Star Wars. Mark Turley, the Urban Giant. There is another one. Hang on. I've got loads of these. See it there? Yeah. So I've got Attack. This is Boba Fett's slave ship, and obviously the Millennium Falcon. I've got loads of them. So Mark Turley, the Urban Giant. I'll leave that so you can see all three. He's an artist. If you just go on the Urban Giant, have a look. He predominantly does a lot of architectural illustration and drawings, and I was in the industry, so you know I used to do that myself. So I love his artwork, and I just bought a lot of Star Wars. I've got some great ones. He's done like good one, Yoda, obviously Darth Vader and all that, and everything really. So yeah, I just got quite a few Star Wars. This is my favourite, Millennium Falcon. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, any other questions from London? Who is the author? I've covered that. All of the beans here. Thank you very much. Right, anyway, go and do some reading. And I am going to do another recording now on the video that I planned. 40 lessons from 40 books. I picked out 40 books from my reading list. By the way, if you go to my website, andyholt.co.uk, and on the website there is, if you go to resources, drop resources down, you've got reading list there, right? Click on reading list. There you go. So I've got a really good reading list. Is that moving? No. There you go. And it's playing loads of my books. Good reading list on there. All in categories. So I've got like categories for, let's have a look. Human psychology, human performance, diet and fitness, relationships, mindset and state preparation, financial and wealth building, business and career. Need to add a load of books to that. mental health, lifestyle and travel, natural world, practical skills. Go and have a look at it. Go to andyholt.co.uk and then resources, reading list. And I will be updating with a few new books. Thank you very much. See you all next time.